What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm here in Benton, Wisconsin, visiting Spooky Pinball. Spooky has brought a lot of your favorite themes into pinball. Last year, they brought us Looney Tunes and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This year, they're bringing it with Evil Dead. And in this video, Spooky Bug will be giving you a full tour of their facility.
Officer Doofy reporting for duty. All right. We are at the very start of the production line here at Spooky Pinball. This is one of two factories. This is the factory where all the cool things to show on camera are, where actual production's going on, cabinets made, playfields assembled, things tested, games played. But, you know, right at the start, obviously everything has to start with your playfields. And I thought this would be kind of neat to show off just because of the wide variety of playfields I have sitting next to me here. I have Evil Dead playfields, I have Scooby-Doo playfields, I have Looney Tunes. I actually might be just about out of TCMs, but I think I've got more coming tomorrow too. So, you know, Scooby-Doo upper playfields. But basically we have all of our really, I'll say it, sexy playfields, because Spooky Pinball playfields are some of the sexiest, if not the sexiest, playfields in the business. So yeah, everything starts down here. These guys will grab their playfields after they've gone through the appropriate checks, of course. And it gets brought over into this assembly area. So over here we have Jesse, also known as Sammy Hagar, who, he might not be on camera, but he is working on a Scooby-Doo right now. And what's nice is everything in this factory was custom made for this factory. So people are familiar with pinball rotisseries, you know, that's nothing totally new. But it was nice to be able to design these from the ground up, you know, mount them into the floor where we wanted them in the factory, set it to the height that was comfortable for our employees so that they weren't breaking their backs all day working on everything. Got it at just the perfect level for them. Nice, brand new, custom-made rotisserie. And Jesse's working on a Scooby-Doo. Surrounding us on all sides of everything here is a bunch of parts for all the games that we are currently working on, which is those 4 that I mentioned earlier. Some of these parts being Pinball Life parts, you know, bins full of magnets and pop bumpers assemblies, things like that. Other parts are the things that we do in-house, like this stacks of metal over here, where we have things like the gigantic inner loop on Texas Chainsaw and Looney Tunes, as well as other things done in-house, like our light boards, which goes, there's so many of them, it's a really fun puzzle to put together. Yeah, so I picked that up. I was going to say what part it went to, and I was like, oh crap, we're doing too many games, I can't remember. But yeah, so Jesse is surrounded by all these parts over here. There's actually another guy in this area, Logan, but he is over working on some upper playfields for Scooby-Doo at the moment, not the big boards right now. So this is where everything starts. They work on this. They get all of the ball guides, the posts, the rubbers, the boards, the light boards, the warden. They get all these things slapped onto the playfields here, and when they are done, it moves on to the next area, which is the Playfield Wiring. In our previous factory, all of our areas and everything were kind of scattered about all over the place, and having a nice workflow was priority number 1 to help with QC in this new factory. So having things shift right over into the Playfield Wiring is great. There's a little test Evil Dead that we are still working on over here, kind of a sample playfield for these guys to work off of. But over here, so you have a multitude of playfields being wired. Right now, Steven's working on a Scooby-Doo. Dustin's working on a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Looks like Seth is also working on a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So these guys go through, they get everything wired up in the entire game. The switches, the coils, they run the GI, optos, they run a whole multitude of different wires in the game. So they'll get that all wired up, everything soldered up really nice, and then that's where it moves on to the next area. One thing I'm kind of forgetting to mention is this really cool playfield racks that these guys put the playfields up on during each step. So when the playfield assembly guys are done, they set them up onto the racks, and then when the wirers are ready for the next board, they walk over, grab it, set it down onto the rotisserie. The racks are a little bit more barren right now because we are winding down the TCM and Looney Tunes production as we transition to Evil Dead. I've shown countless photos of these racks completely full before, so just in a bit of a transition period right now between the games. But over here is where we get to what I think is probably the coolest thing that we've done in the new Spooky Pinball facility, which is our test rigs. So these test rigs were custom built, of course, like everything else for this factory, for doing all of the playtesting on the machines. So before, after a playfield was wired up, we would take it and it would go straight into a cabinet right away, which there's a lot of reasons that you maybe wouldn't want to do that. It's a lot nicer to have a more controlled environment to have the playfield in, where you're using the same boards, same computers, same parts in the head, so that you can really just focus all that QC on just the playfield. You're not walking next to a butter cabinet, risking scratching it with your belt buckle. You're not chasing down something that could be from the cabinet to the playfield. It puts it all under one more controlled area, so they can really focus on getting the playfield done up nice. And then, of course, the cabinet area has its own QC checks as well to make sure that when this is done, you are marrying a perfect playfield to a perfect cabinet. But these test rigs are really great. One of the wildest things is that you can actually flip this completely 180 degrees around, or I guess 360, arguably, is to flip them around and everything. It's one of the coolest custom things that we got to work on in this factory was these test rigs, and we're really happy with how they've come out. A lot of people who tour keep asking us to sell them test rigs now. They want to use it for their home brewing and whatnot so they can work on playfields at home, so that's always really cool. But yeah, right now you have a multitude of different games on here. This is actually a super rare sighting because these are not all collector's edition playfields. There's not a whole lot of standards or bloodsuckers sold of TCM out there in the world. So these being on the production line right now is pretty crazy. Like, most people will never ever get to really see that. So they're working on Looney Tunes, they're working on TCM, and down here we have that special new game that we're currently working on, Evil Dead. These are actually the first 3 on the production line. We were just in all weekend this weekend working on these, playing on them, testing them, still adding things, still changing things, just refining it as much as we possibly can. But it's been really great working on them, and I'm very fortunate, or very thankful that we were able to get into this new factory before Evil Dead, because I really wanted to make sure we had this perfect setup so that we could work on these games at the best quality that we could possibly handle. So in this area, when they get the game fully built out, like you can see, this Evil Dead is almost done. It is almost fully, completely built out. Once these are done, they get removed from these test rigs, and they get brought over here into these cabinets. So the cabinets will be sitting here empty, ready for the playfields to go in. They will get their whole multitude of tests before a playfield comes into it. So when they're done with what they're working on over there, they pull them out, bring them over here, and that's where it then goes to the long line of QC and play testing that's behind me. But if we were to go back down this way, you'll notice the line's kind of two-sided. So that was all the playfield side of things. This is the cabinet side of things. So all these cabinets are on a channel that they can get pushed straight down in. Here's actually some playfields that are mostly done up and ready to get moved on to the QC phases coming up next. So down here, you'll actually see where they're building the raw cabinets. So, over here, we have a bunch of the cabinets pre-decaled, sitting, ready to go, ready to get decaled and put onto a stand. We've actually even got a Scooby-Doo butter that's sitting right here, a really nice butter cabinet that'll be ready to go into a stand soon. So in this department, and this part always kind of looks like a mess, but in this department is where they're actually putting all of the components into the cabinet. They're getting your subwoofer, they're wiring up the cabinet, the power supplies, the distribution boards, everything into here, as well as the heads, where they have this awesome custom-made stand to work on the heads in as well. So they're getting like the topper installed with the lights right now. And as they get all that done here, it gets slid down to, like I said, where the playfields get met into the cabinets on the line. And then you'll notice as I'm walking around all these areas, there's a bunch of tables and a bunch of shelves around me. That is where everyone is working on various other components. Like right now, Chris is working on the display panels. You can see some of them stacked up here. And Emily is going to be working on, she's working on something really cool. She's working on the rockets and the grinders for Looney Tunes and TCM, getting those wired up and everything added onto that. Yeah, cool rocket ship. Emily's got one of the cooler jobs because she gets to put together the fun little like toys. It's like working at Santa's elf shop. So yeah, those guys will be working on a bunch of different things in each area. Each area is dedicated to various parts of the process like that. And then, yeah, like I said, coming down here, we're going to be a little bit quiet because Adam's on the phone with a customer because Adam is in the tech support department. But once you get down here is where we hit the multiple days of play testing and checks that the games get before they officially go out into the wild, into boxes, which I can actually show that area more back here. We've also got Luke Peters testing Evil Dead right now in the background, so you're going to see some live code development testing going on behind us. And he should probably cover his laptop screen just to be safe. Oh, good, he closed it. Okay. So Evil Dead, Luke Peters is over here literally doing code testing right now. When we had Mr. Cary playing the game earlier, Luke rolled over with his laptop on a stand, opened it up, and started taking notes immediately. So the code grind never stops here. We are always working on that. So, yeah, some wicked Evil Dead gameplay in the background for you. And then into this area is where Jay is doing the final touches on the games before they go into the box. This is where you start getting your magnet decal sets added, the glass gets put on, various foam packaging, things like that, and then the game gets folded down, set onto a pallet, boxed up, and that's where you have your whole row of box games over in this corner over here, ready to go out the door. Luke's on the phone yelling at someone for something right now. They probably deserve it, or who knows what he could be going off about over there. But yeah, that's essentially the workflow of the new Spooky facility here, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I could still talk for hours about every single department and what they have going on and how we've improved it over the years, but I think we're just going to let it speak for itself with Evil Deads this year as they roll out the door, and we're really looking forward to getting to the first shows with those games. We're looking forward to getting these first few Evil Deads off the production line in the near future here, and yeah, you'll start seeing a consistent flow from us pretty soon, so looking forward to getting it out to you guys.
That wraps up the tour, everyone. This video and the whole trip was brought to you by my awesome supporters on Patreon. Without their support, this trip would not be possible. And of course, a special thank you to Spooky Pinball for having me over and allowing me to share all of this with you. If you are interested in getting a Spooky Pinball machine, you can reach out to them directly or contact your favorite pinball distro. And until next time, guys, peace out.
I'll just jump right into
Yeah, okay, so here we have Spooky Bug over here going to show us around.
Did you almost forget my name?
No, I
saw you pause.
I had a moment of autism. But like,